And what it do, KTTV? This is KT, and I am coming at you live with another episode of the Wellness Wednesday Daily K podcast. We are back, y'all. This is the first one in a while since the season started, and I want to say thank you to my guest for tonight, Miss Lavondia Menephee from Phenomenal Solutions. How you doing today, Miss Menephee?
I'm doing very well. Thank you, Mr. Thomas, for asking. Thank you for having me here too.
Look, it is my pleasure. Man, we're going through so much, educators, non-educators, everybody. And so to have someone to come in to just doing the counseling piece, the coaching piece, the motivational piece, I appreciate you for taking some time out.
Thank you. Well, let's see what we can do to encourage the people then.
Yeah. Now, before we start, I just want to shout out one of my students, because if I do not, I am afraid to go to school tomorrow. So big shouts out to Angelina. She knew the show was gonna be on today. And Angelina, she says, I got my notifications button smashed. So big shouts out to Angelina, man. All right. Now,
hey girl.
Hey. So before we jump into things, how are you and how have you been doing during the pandemic and staying safe?
Glory to God. I am doing very well. I'm feeling healthier than I have felt in a long time. And just to stay safe during the pandemic, I mean, quarantine was just something else, but I have to admit, I am a true introvert. Mm-hmm. Classic case introvert. So, so the introverts I know, we got into this meme about how we've been training our whole lives for this. Sure. Stay home, wonderful. So actually, I actually am in that minority of people who actually enjoyed it and who were able to stay safe. And then also being here for my family, just shifting and making sure that we all stayed healthy and then one piece was important.
And then when we talk about tonight about resiliency and just being able to bounce back, I know that you did, even in the midst of that, you still had a little bout. And so then, did you want to just share a little bit about going through that, but how did you come out on the other side of that?
You said a little bout. That's cute.
Hey.
It was all out war.
Hey, okay.
It really was all out war. My husband was diagnosed with COVID in December. So we had been being, super, super careful as possible. He was taking lunches from home. We weren't even buying food out. Like, we had been being super, super, super careful. And unfortunately he picked it up, and he was diagnosed with COVID and the flu at the same time. And so when he came home, I Googled it, and just from what I was reading, I was like, oh no, I plead the blood of Jesus over this man. I can't put this in my spirit and be here. So I set out taking care of him, and I did catch COVID, Kendrick. And thank God he was up in 4 days. He had a health regimen that I would make his health tonic. He was up in 4 days. I was in bed for a month because I developed pneumonia. So in that bout, it was very scary. We had all the symptoms. We both had, all of the everything, the backache, just so bad you don't even know what's going on. The headache, you can't even lift your head. But that pneumonia was really scary.
Wow.
And I didn't know what it was. I just knew that I would get winded even sitting up. Like it was really taking its toll. Yeah. And this is, mind you, this is Christmas time. I have my daughters, we have our traditions. And just to not be able to do what we usually do because I was in bed was very difficult. And my roughest night, it was I was winded just turning from one side of my body to the other.
Mm.
And I prayed to the Lord and I asked just for time for more joy in my life. That was the only thing. I wanted to be able to breathe, but I just thought about my girls. I thought about my husband. And I was like, Lord, just give us more time for joy. Um, and so as I'll be sharing, just that prayer has sparked a whole different way of approaching my work as a school
Mm.
counselor, and how I approach my work with phenomenal solutions, then
Mm-hmm.
phenomenal coaching, now phenomenal solutions. Um, because the Lord is honoring my prayer, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm very grateful, very
And
grateful.
speaking about that, when we talk about the phenomenal solutions, as I look at one of your quotes, it says you want people to live their whole life. So now, just thinking about what you just shared with us in that experience, what does that mean to you now?
Well, when my husband Calvin and I started phenomenal coaching, everybody was living their best life. We're still living our best life. Everybody wanted to live their best life, but we really wanted to create experiences for people to be able to be whole while they're living their best life. So, it really is a double entendre. It's live your whole life. Like, don't just be great at work and then suffer at home, or don't just be great at home but still have these other aspirations, and there's no need for you to live a life where you don't have any clarity about what you want to do, because we offer tools for that. So just the whole idea of, there's just really no need to struggle, there's really no need to settle. um, you are perfectly able to have a full whole life and to live it. So that's how we came up with that tagline.
Yeah, that's good though. Just thinking about, like you say, everybody was living their best, but it wasn't the
Oh
whole.
yeah, it wasn't
Yeah,
whole, not necessarily.
yeah.
I don't know.
Yes. And
From
so
what I've been
then, so now not only with the coaching, with the solutions, also counselor, education. So how do you become a person that puts other people's problems on their shoulders, like as your career? Like, so how did you even get into that career field?
Kendrick, it really is who I've always been.
Mm-hmm.
I've
Yeah.
always been, I have always been this way. Not necessarily putting others' problems on my shoulders, but just caring.
Yeah.
My parents were educators. My father was a principal. Lord bless his soul. He um, served in education for 40 years. My mother also was a sped para. Lord bless her soul. And so just growing up in a household of seeing the toll that leadership can take on a person, heavily influencing, heavily, just being there and just paying attention to what it's like to give your all to the future and to give your all to a learning community. And then you have to come home and give something to your family. So I've always been keenly aware of needing to help my parents and needing to care, and maybe even just trying to get that A, if that could you know just take some of the headache away, even
Mm-hmm.
as a child. And so it makes sense that my journey took me to, and I grew up saying, oh no, I don't want to teach, I don't ever want to be a teacher. Became a teacher, and
Yeah.
then and even my teaching style, I remember getting feedback, and this is like in late 90s. Remember getting feedback about being a good facilitator, because it's just like my style is always like, I don't really know the answer. I don't know the truth for you. So that is what I bring to coaching spaces and to my private yoga spaces. It's just that, like, the answer better than I do, but I can keep you company.
Mm-hmm. There we go. And that's the thing about it too. That coaching, I can't really answer the question. You're right. I can ask the right questions to kind of guide you there piece by piece, but you got the answers.
Yeah, you do. Yeah,
That,
yeah, yeah. You have them. I don't even know. And when
yeah.
the session is over, like, trust me, I won't repeat it because I'm not even recording it.
Mhm.
this company.
Yeah. And so, what what kind of services do you offer at Phenomenal Solutions? Like, what all is under the umbrella?
So thank you for asking that. And this is why we agreed to move from Phenomenal Coaching, as we were known, to Phenomenal Solutions. Because so under Phenomenal Coaching, and what we still offer is we offer individual coaching. We have two different ways of doing that. We have life right coaching, which is just really for times when you're like, I'm stuck. I don't know what's coming next. I don't know what I want, but I know I don't want this. And so we do have a process that we go through just to help you get some clarity around next steps. And then we have another type of individual coaching that is more so of, oh, you know where you are, but you don't want to be there.
Mhm.
So that's another kind of coaching that we
Mhm.
do. I also work with organizations. I was able to do a lot of work with organizations, as you can imagine, Kendrick,
Mhm.
during quarantine, because there were organizations that were like, my people are falling apart at the seams. We need something, because not only did we have COVID, but we also had our awareness of the social injustices. We had our twin pandemics. So we had lots of organizations just like, who can come and help. So we do work with organizations, and also during quarantine, I became a yoga teacher.
Yeah.
And so I started out teaching yin and restorative yoga. Those are just like the passive yoga. Usually, when I say like a yoga teacher, all kinds of images come up, right? You think like blonde ponytail, whatever, that is not head, headstands, everything. That
Mhm.
is not what happens with yin and restorative yoga. Those are the passive traditions. So we really work on getting into the body,
Mhm.
because when we go through stress and trauma, the first thing our spirits want to do is to find somewhere safe. And so we experience the body as not being safe. So we shut down, and we don't, we look for escapes everywhere. But the more passive traditions help you to slow down and to get back into yourself, to come back to yourself. And so, just to recap, individual coaching, we work with organizations, and I also teach a private yoga.
Yeah. Awesome. Good service. And like you say, it's not anything that's new or extra, but it's the rebranding it and just bringing it back home. And so then tell me that full story. Like, did you share some of it earlier?
Just a little bit, but but the thing is that, like, I have been coaching for a while. I've been doing life right coaching for a long time, and I developed that process really for myself, because
Mhm.
I was the one that needed to, like, to just sit and figure out what my next move was. I needed to figure out what I wanted for me, and so I developed the life right coaching um, many years ago. Look, you get older, you're like, okay, now what year was it? I think it was like 2014, 2015. Um, and then some years later, Calvin and I were coming up on our 18th wedding anniversary. And anybody who has been married for any length of time or shared a life for any length of time knows that in time, you have to really work to keep that connection solid. And we had gone to dinner, and we had agreed that we really needed to do something different because our communication was suffering. And so we came home and we did a spinoff of the Life Right process for two people. We call that the yours, mine, and ours coaching. And I will tell you, it helped us to get past our ego. It helped us to get past a lot of walls, just to be able to talk in a very candid and productive way about our relationship and our friendship and our marriage. And so that was how we started doing phenomenal coaching. And we were just coaching. But then again, with COVID, with the pandemic and the quarantine, we were doing so much more than that. We were working with organizations. We were adding in the yoga. We were adding in more awareness of the body. So now, we can't just call it coaching, even though it's in there,
Yeah.
but it's just it, it's branching out into so much more.
Mm-hmm.
So that is why we agreed to go ahead and do some rebranding and just to say, okay, send us, Lord.
Yeah. That's it though. But look, you done made it through some things, so it's only right to come out of the other side brand new and just ready. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But you know what? But it's a choice,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really not easy.
No. No.
Um, it's really not easy, and the likes are not always like this, and it's not always lipstick, and it's not, it's not always done up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, going through is difficult, and like we a lot of us know, having a breakthrough just requires getting through those hard times. Um, but we've all been through hard times. The world is like Naira Waheed is a poet. I love her work, and she says, I don't care much about the world ending. It's already ended so many times for me before and started over again.
Mm-hmm.
So the world ends all the time. We wake up. I woke up this morning with a world in mind. That world is ended. There were some things that I thought would happen, didn't happen. Dreams die. The unthinkable happens. COVID comes to your house. Not only do you have it, but your husband has it. It's Christmas time. You have these two daughters. You're terrified, can't breathe. The unthinkable does happen.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole point is to remember, okay, what did I do the last time the unthinkable happened? How did I make it through? And even if somebody could say like, well, I don't remember, this is the worst it's ever been. It can't be. We all were in the womb at some point. That world ended. We all came out crying.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't want to do it. But the sheer fact that we are alive proves that we have a lot in us to move forward. And I know it's hard times. It's been hard for a lot of us. It's still hard. Um, Life is just not what any of us thought it would be right now.
Well,
But and also you have to lean too. You have to lean on somebody,
yeah.
somebody. But you have to be willing first to lean on the Lord, of course. But you have to really. I had to learn to lean. You have to learn to lean on somebody.
Man, that's powerful right there. Wow. And so that's like a free consultation. We're gonna count this right here. It's like
Cash app, PayPal, tag,
so as we
with some
recover from
eggs.
the now as we recover from this pandemic and start people start to moving around and we're getting vaccinated, I'm thinking from what I'm seeing, it's still a lot of anxiety, right? It's still a lot going on as people just do life. When you in those sessions and you're talking to those clients, how are you talking to them about, I guess, practical self-care and just practical mindfulness every day? How do you work that?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. So the work that I do really is a supplement
Mm-hmm.
to therapy. I always recommend my clients to get a good established therapeutic relationship with a licensed therapist. Um, Coaching and yoga is just a nice little add-on. It's just a nice little enrichment. So that's one thing I want to be very clear about that. It's just an add-on. But then, for that, if you have that therapeutic relationship to work through the anxiety and everything, and you just, you need a boost, you need to come for a yoga session because you can talk it out, but trauma doesn't leave the body just by talking. You have to move. That pain in the neck, whatever his name is, John Sally. Like that's real. If you have an achy back, that is very real. If you have, a queasy stomach, that's issues of power that we have process of working through that. And it can be simple things. So like if you don't have time to take care of yourself, my favorite thing, some people already know this about me. I do this a lot in workshops and trainings. I'm gonna do a plug if you don't mind. I will
Hey,
be speaking at the Harris County Department of Ed Day of Educational Innovation on April 10th. Come to my session, Create Joy. Thank you for letting me do that.
hey. Yeah, look,
But
I just had so we got Dr. Bro over there. I
mhm.
just had so many people I don't know. So no, that's all good. Cut it out.
A lot of good
Yeah,
people, a lot of good people
yeah,
in Harris County
yeah,
Department of
yeah.
Ed.
Just Miss Andrews just stopped through Saturday.
Yeah,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
wow.
yeah. So we
Absolutely.
all good to go.
Yeah, good people,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure, for sure.
So
Well, I don't know if Julia has seen me do this before, but I do. I always encourage participants, if nothing else, you can lotion your hands.
hey,
How many times do you get going in the day and you look down and your hands are rough, dry, and ashy? Your hands are ashy, your attitude is ashy. You
hey,
ashy, you talking to people ashy, you spreading the ash. You have time. You always have time to take care of yourself. Something as simple as just, and I am massaging out my day while we having this conversation. You have time to take care of yourself. You have time to go and just sit out in the sun at lunchtime. The sun is medicine. You can, if you cannot leave the building, I understand what that's about. Find a sunny spot for yourself. You can do that. Also, just practical things like I eat my lunch in my car. Me, everybody knows it. I eat my lunch in my car, and do you know? Sometimes, if I am really wound up and tired with a lot going on, I'll set my timer for about 10 minutes and get a good 10-minute nap in my car. That timer goes off. I am fresh, ready. Something as simple is so simple. When you take a shower, enjoy your shower. And then when you're done bathing, slowly, slowly, slowly turn that temperature down to cold and let that cold water hit your body. It's going to take some getting used to, but get in the habit of sealing off that bath experience with that cold water. It's just good for your nervous system. It gets your nervous system more primed to deal with anxiety and stress. Little things. You have time. You have time to turn on some cold water.
yeah, yeah.
You turn on some
Take
cold
care of
water
yourself.
for yourself. You know, just little things like that can go a long way. Of course, like drinking water. You don't like water. Well, put some fruit in it. Um, Taking the stairs, even, for those of us in school, if you have a child who's acting out, if the child is acting out, he or she probably needs to walk. Take the stairs with that child. Um, to walk it out is good for you and them. Because also for those of us who are in schools, our children are going through a lot. So what I see, Kendrick, is I see a lot of like passing the stress and anxiety, just passing it. A child can come in just fine. That teacher is anxious, they
Mm,
just pass it back and forth. And the same thing. A teacher
mm.
could be just fine. Little Johnny comes in running because he doesn't know what to do with the feeling of, I really don't want to be here. I'm scared. This teacher wants me to read.
That's
So,
true. Hmm.
I mean, just finding ways to get that outlet, finding a brain break, stand up, get you some jumping jacks. Um, you can even put like a pillow over your lap and just fold over the pillow for a few minutes and just breathe. If nothing else, you can breathe.
Hmm.
Elongate your
Yeah.
exhales. Breathe in for 4 counts, breathe out for 5, work up to 8. If nothing else, you can breathe. But
Yeah.
Just pick one thing. And I don't want to act like I'm a self-care fairy.
Mhm.
Sometimes I know all this stuff and I still may get ashy just because.
Just go.
I may
You
get
go
ashy
just
just because I'm a Leo. I just may just feel like getting ashy. I may.
yeah. It's
So
real though. That's real.
I'm a person.
Yes.
I'm a
That's it. That's
person.
it. That's
Yeah,
it.
it's a process.
I think about we got one teacher who always goes to her car and eats her lunch. So everybody just it's abnormal. Like some people, they like, well, we got so many rooms, but if that's how she takes care of herself, you know,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yes,
Well, because it breaks up the day. It may look
yeah,
like, oh, what's wrong with her? But if you think about it, it just breaks up the day.
hmm
Otherwise, in a school, you give, 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 give. And even if someone comes to eat lunch with you, you're eating lunch, fueling your body, but you're still having to have this social interaction.
hmm
So you're still, at what point do you just reset yourself? Um, yeah, I don't. I take my little lunch kit out there,
yeah.
and, and
Hey,
I
it
and I
makes perfect sense.
have a great time. I've gotten me a nap. I come in, y'all holler because you need a nap. You need a nap.
Yeah,
That's why you
that's
holler.
awesome, man.
I
So
feel
let's
great.
let's say someone hears this interview, and then they
Mm,
want to sign up. So what does that first session look like? And then yeah, where do they go? Like, where do I start?
thank you for asking that. So if somebody hears this and they say, okay, yeah, I want something, you can contact me. You can reach out to me on Instagram at Phenomenal Solutions, on Twitter at Phenomenal One. The Patreon is scrolling under the screen. You can even email me, phenomenalsolutions@gmail.com. But again, with the coaching, it's not a therapeutic relationship. So you could do a life right coaching twice a year just to make sure you're on the right track, just to make sure you even know what you want. Kendrick, you'll be surprised how many times I sit down with people and I say, okay, what do you want?
Mm, okay, crickets.
It's a very real question.
Yeah,
What do you want?
that's it.
Yeah.
Nah,
Yeah. I
that's
mean,
it.
that's,
I mean,
yeah. Yeah.
because that's a hard question because people don't think about it.
What do you want? Not what mama
Yeah,
told you to want,
yeah.
not what you feel like you need to do. Not, but what do you want? Big or small.
Mm,
And so that's the life work coaching is about that. It's about pulling out all the wants and we
yeah.
categorize them and we look for patterns. And a lot of times I can see the patterns, but I'm like, okay, so what do you see? And then from there we develop a plan.
Mm,
Um, the grace and mercy sessions really is just about talking through the issue and reaching a point of resolution, so that you can be able to move forward. So, and the grace and mercy session could be monthly. It really just depends, but usually I find, and I know a business person would say like, oh, she's no business person, because usually I find like one session people are good.
mhm,
People are good for like a year,
mhm.
which of course is bad for business, but it's great for the ministry.
Yes.
It's bad for business, but it's great for making me feel like, you know what, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do.
Mhm.
So that's that. And then working with organizations, working with teams, it's I'm really big on experiences. So it's not a sit and get, it's not a worksheet kind of thing. Lots of sharing, lots of actually experiencing some of the mind body techniques. And then with the yoga session, that again is not like anything that you would expect. Um, we do a guided meditation to really figure out where the stress is sitting in the body, and then I tailor a sequence to speak to that. And we also like work together. So I'll lead you in a pose, you hold that pose, but it's up to you to figure out how to get out of it, what your body wants. And again, Kendrick, you'll be surprised. We don't even a lot of times know how our body wants to rebound from a place of discomfort. You think
Wow.
about that.
Yeah. Wow.
You don't even know how to get yourself out of a knot.
Mhm.
That's how like how some of us really we check out. We all do it. But some of us are so far gone to where I could put you in a whole knot with a rubber band and say get out, and you would say how?
Yeah.
Because you've been jumping out of yourself and lashing out at other people and saying, well, it's their fault, it's their fault, it's their fault, it's their fault. But meanwhile, you're
Mm.
not.
Yeah. And ashy.
Ashy.
I love it, man. I love it. So as we get ready to land this plane,
Yes.
we've learned that it's the most darkest before the dawn. So as we think about educators in these 10 weeks we got left, we think about people who get this vaccine and people who not, and can we still go places? Can you please just give us a little bit of that phenomenal solutions talk
All
over there
right.
before we get out of here?
Yes. It is darkest before dawn. But I am so my big dream is to be able to retire and go all around the world taking pictures of sunrises.
Mm,
Sunrise is just my favorite time. I just live for a sunrise. If you've ever watched a sunrise, it is dark, but there are signs that the sun is coming.
hey,
The sun doesn't just rise and it's light. It's pitch black, yes, but then it turns like a dark blue. And then you may see like a thin line of orange. There are signs. Look for the signs. It's dark, but there are signs that daybreak is coming. You don't have to just wait for the sun to be at high noon. That's a whole process.
mm,
What do you feel? How do you know you're coming out of this? And also you have to be patient for a sunrise because with a sunrise, you think you're watching it, you turn around, and then you've missed it. So you have to be patient with yourself. For some of us and for our children, the idea of going back to normal is very disconcerting.
mhm,
Be patient with your loved ones who just are not ready to go to a house party yet.
mm.
It's a lot, but still look for evidence of coming out of that dark place. And if you're in a dark place, be there. Be there. That's the only way. I mean, we can't have daylight all the time.
Mm.
Sometimes I mean, we have to have balance.
Yeah.
So when it's time to have that dark moment, be there so that when the light does come, you'll know. You'll be a good witness. But you can't be a good witness if you don't let yourself be there.
Yeah. 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 Mm. I love it. I love it. All right. So now hit us with that contact information one more time.
Thank you. Wonderful. Several ways, phenomenal solutions at gmail.com. Also on Instagram, Phenomenal Solutions. It's PHEE, because Menifee Phenomenal Solutions at Instagram, and also Phenomenal One on Twitter.
Mm,
So you can find me any of those places. And then, of course, if you're interested in staying connected, I also forgot to mention that I am starting monthly themed workshops. Looking to doing some inner child work in April. So if you're interested in doing some inner child work, get connected on that Patreon. It's just $2 a month. Not your last $2, but just
Yeah.
two a month,
Yeah.
in order to get connected. So
Man,
thank
that's
you.
it. I love it. I love it. Okay. All right. So now,
Hey, Deborah. Deborah's my
hey,
mentor.
hey, she pulled up. So I want to say thank you for taking some time out to really just, man, really just drop some knowledge on us today. But also give us that push that you know you need because you said so much good stuff. So I can't wait to get it out and play it back.
That's
Well, just
awesome.
thank you
Thank
today.
you.
Yeah. All
Thank
right.
and
Well,
thank you for the platform and thank you for everything that you do to encourage educators. We need it. We need all of it. So thank you very much. And thank you for
hey,
sharing your platform.
that'll work. I appreciate it. All right. This is KT for KTTV signing out. 100.